Hello and welcome to what I think is episode 353 of Sutton and Pack Family Style. I'm Jason.
Bill, and let's just jump in, Jay. Let's go with the AFC first. Let's go with the Ravens Chiefs.
Yeah. The Chiefs once again found a way to win. I don't know what else to mean. Mahomes was Mahomes. They had a fire. The defense only gave up 7 points to a Baltimore team that put up almost 30 at home. And they found a way to get it done again, right?
Yeah.
They did a great job keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket. They blitzed him. They confused him. He did not look like an MVP in this game, that's for sure.
No, and Zay Flowers didn't help him, except he cut the touchdown, but killed him on a couple other times.
Yeah.
Stupid penalty. And it was a great play on that strip before he crossed the goal line. That was a great play.
Now, back to Zay Flowers, his penalty of taunting. I know he did just about everything you could do in the rule book to signify taunting. But Joe Burrow was one person, and then there was probably 1,000 other NFL players, even though there's not actually 1,000 players in the NFL, all came out saying that we're all grown men, we can take a little taunting. It's fun. But I know that's not going to change because there's a bunch of old white guys in the building, but do you think the taunting stuff will be allowed again at some point?
No, because it goes to sportsmanship, and they're gonna uphold sportsmanship. Celebration, they've gone the opposite way on celebration. When celebration get pretty carried away.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because you're not. It's a bunch of guys celebrating, and it's not pointing at one person. And the other one, taunting, is pointing at one person.
Yeah, I suppose, but I mean, I love to cross promote sports. I love the Dikembe Mutombo no, that's taunting, and that was awesome.
It's not taunting like that. Like that yesterday, you're standing over the guy,
Yeah,
and you throw the ball down, and then that was too much for me. No, I'm not going to budge on this one.
okay.
That to me was really taunting.
All right. Because I just figured it was a big call and a big game, and it seems like the people that play the sport are like, this is stupid. Don't penalize somebody for that. Just let it go. We're getting paid millions of dollars. We can take it.
Yeah, but also go the other way. If you're being paid $1 million, be smart. Don't be stupid.
True. Yeah.
So, the couple interesting plays. I mean, the one where Mahomes scrambled and threw that ball to Kelsey that he dove for early in the game, that was a big play.
Huge play.
Huge
Monstrous.
play. And, that drive down the field, that sent a message early, and that kind of set the tone for the game, I thought.
It did. And again, like I said, if you watch, I listened to Shannon Sharp and Ryan Clark today. I'll give them the credit for this. But they were saying that...
for Ryan Clark's suit, by the way.
Yeah, that was an interesting suit. He looked like he was going to prom in the 80s, or the NFL draft in the 80s, I guess. Yeah. But they were pointing out that you got a guy like Lamar Jackson who is really good at one thing, specifically. What makes him great is his feet and his legs, right? We saw that a little bit on the play that you talked about where he caught his own pass. And now, granted that they had spies and they were trying to prevent it, but it seemed like he was willing, the defense of Kansas City was like, if you want to beat us, you're going to beat us from the pocket, right?
Right.
And they just sort of let them dictate that, and they didn't try to do anything to stop that from happening. They only ran the ball 5 times, the Ravens. 5 rushing attempts from the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Justice Hill had a couple runs. He looked pretty good on a couple runs.
In a 17...
But Gus Johnson didn't do nearly what he'd been doing all year.
No, but in a game where there was neither team scored 20 points, and it was always within one score or 10 points, for the Ravens, the best running team in football, to stop running the football and try to throw from the pocket, which is, arguably, I know it's, you don't like to say it because everybody gets mad when people say Lamar's not a good quarterback from the pocket, but that's his weakest point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's had some good moments this year.
Yeah.
But against certain teams that are effectively able to take away some of his game, he doesn't play well.
And it just felt like that's what Kansas City was doing from the moment of the whistle blew in the first quarter. And the Ravens never seemed to adjust.
I mean, there's no question. When he's running, he's frightening.
Frightening.
And not just his moves and his speed and his power, You don't see that anywhere.
No. And it just and again, I know that was Kansas City's. That's what they said. We're going to make you beat us from the pocket. But it felt like there had to be some adjustments where the Ravens could have done something where you're moving them around a little bit, you're getting them in space, you're doing something. You're countering what Kansas City is doing. Because you have professional football players and coaches too. You have the best record in football. You're at home. Like, you have presumably the MVP of the league. Like, putting up, what is it, 7 points or 10 points? Would they end up with 10? They got 10, yeah. Because they got that late Justin Tucker field goal.
Field goal late.
Yeah. It's all credit to Kansas City. And Mahomes, for his, sort of the goofy voice and, the boyish charms of the guy from the State Farm ads, that's a fiery, competitive man.
Yeah, he is.
And the rest of the league, and I guess, I saw other people make this point, but I thought about this too. Like, this might be as bad as Kansas City is going to be with a healthy Patrick Mahomes on offense. Right? People agree that Kansas City has done sort of that Tom Brady thing where they have not put enough people around him, or they've made some of the wrong calls with Sky Moore and some of the free agents. Maybe not getting DeAndre Hopkins this year, depending on how you thought about that.
Yeah.
So, and they were coming on the road. They had to play in Buffalo and then in Baltimore. If you were going to get the Chiefs during Patrick Mahomes' tenure, this was the year,
Yeah, you had Kelsey as a weapon, and you had Rice.
Yeah, and Pacheco's a nice back.
Pacheco.
But
you had pretty good. That's three good weapons. But once those guys get banged, like Pacheco got banged up, the little running back is no answer for Pacheco. He gets knocked down too quickly, too easily.
Yeah, and Rice is a nice player, and he might get better. I think he's going to continue to get better, but
yeah,
he's not like a devastating. Like, we are playing Rashid Rice this week. What are we going to do?
That was a good rookie year, though.
Yeah, it was.
I still don't understand how Kelsey can get open as much as he gets open. Although they had him fairly well covered yesterday, but there was still that one pass way down by the goal line.
Yeah.
Not the touchdown, but the one where he was on the opposite end of the field. He was wide open just standing down there. But, Kyle Hamilton on the touchdown was all over him.
It didn't matter, yeah.
Didn't matter. Mahomes threw the ball where it needed to be.
So Mahomes will have now been to the Super Bowl in 4 of his 6 seasons?
Yeah.
And he's been to the AFC Championship game in 5 of his 6 seasons. That's pretty incredible. And if you're Lamar Jackson and if you're Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes is probably only going to get better on offense with better talent around him moving forward. C.J. Stroud looks like the real deal. Joe Burrow is going to be healthy again. Maybe Justin Herbert gets it together. We have a couple more quarterbacks coming to the league. Who knows who they're going to be. Like, if you're Baltimore or Buffalo, I feel like you got to be real bummed out right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I get a chance to take Justin Herbert again in the draft, I will.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a big year.
Exactly.
Well, the biggest question for the Chiefs is Taylor Swift going to make it back from Japan for the Super Bowl?
I think she is. And again, it doesn't bother me. Like I said, I watch the game. I don't really care if they show her 10 times or no times. Whatever. She's Taylor Swift.
She genuinely seems interested in the game.
That's what I'm going to say. Like, I've seen her act, and she's a bad actress. And I know she's one of the greatest marketers since Bill Veeck. I'll throw that out for you today.
Yep.
She knows how to manipulate. She knows how to work the system. But, like, this is either the greatest acting of her entire career, or she's genuinely excited to be there and be a part of it. And I assume, like, if you're around almost...
I assume she is.
Yeah. She genuinely, like, she doesn't have to be with Travis Kelce of all people. Any famous person she could be dating, right?
Right.
And she's going to these games, and she seems really involved and really excited. And I think, if you're dating somebody that plays football, you probably like football. And if you're around that Chiefs, in Baltimore, that electric atmosphere and excitement, like, I'm sure it's exciting,
Yeah.
So that's great for the NFL.
Well, let's go NFC, because the Lions did their trademark really good in the first half, not much in the second half.
No.
And they've kind of been that way all year.
And I feel like the game, and I know that, we've been told that momentum doesn't exist, but when the ball hit off the Detroit Lions helmet and Brendan and I caught it for a touchdown, if there was such a thing as momentum, which I actually do believe in, that was it.
that was like, what else bad can happen to me?
Yeah.
And the next time, right after that, then you fumble the ensuing possession.
Exactly. I mean, you had a chance to intercept the ball or at the very least knock it down. Instead, it hits off your helmet, flies in the air, the receiver catches it and goes in for a touchdown. Like, that's just crazy. Because it was it 24-7 at halftime, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
17 points.
And Detroit was running the ball down their throats. I think they had, I know the long run by Jameson Williams was almost 50 yards, but they had like 160 yards in the first half and 3 rushing touchdowns. And,
when it was 21, was it 21-0 or 21-7?
I think it might have been 21-0 at one point, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it was 21-7, then it was 24-7. When it was 21-0, my mouth was hanging open. I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't even believe this.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, the 49ers didn't play well the week before, so maybe this is it. Maybe the Lions are gonna come out and dominate like this.
And it did seem like, for whatever reason, obviously, the 49ers went in. They're one of the best coached teams in football. I'm sure they made some adjustments, which is why Detroit threw the ball more in the second half. But with the way they were running the football in the first half, and you have a 24-7 lead, it feels like you just keep pounding it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got the best run game. You got two guys, but then after Gibbs fumbled,
yeah,
that was a big. It didn't seem like they wanted to run as much again.
No. And, then we get into I guess you could argue Dan Campbell, this is what he's done all year. He goes for it on fourth down.
He's done it all year. They did it more than anybody else. They had more success than anybody else. And he pointed out that the kicker was 1 for 3 over 48 yards outdoors.
Yeah. Which, again, we talk about this all the time, and the Steelers have Percy Harvin at punter, who, even though he won the Ray Guy Award in college, has been pretty terrible as a punter in the league. There's only 32 kickers and only 32 punters in all of the NFL. You make almost $1 million a year. You think it'd be a pretty sweet gig, right?
You would think.
And we'd be able to, I figure like it'd be the kind of thing where eventually you're paying guys less because there's so many people trying to do it. And again, I'm not saying there's not athletic ability involved, but with all the people that play soccer around the world, like, you would think finding a kicker that could consistently make that kick.
Well, especially because Australia's producing punters like crazy.
Yeah. And
I'm assuming the Steelers are going to have an Australian punter next year.
I assume most of the league will. But again, like I said, it's shocking that you can't find. I mean, that you're in the NFC Championship game and you don't have a kicker you trust under 50 yards in San Francisco. Not like you're kicking, in Buffalo, with a frozen football. Like, it was 50 degrees.
Well, so now we move forward.
Yeah.
And we're going to have the 49ers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. 2 weeks to prepare, so plenty of time for everybody to get healthy.
Which is great. And as of right now, and again, someone will get hurt the next 2 weeks, sadly. But as of right now, there's no injury concerns on either team for the most part. There's no, all the stars are there. I'm sure Kelsey can do nothing but, walkthroughs for the next 2 weeks to make sure he's got everything he's got for that game. And the same with probably Kittle and Debo and McCaffrey on the other side.
I mean, it's the Super Bowl you would want. If you're a television viewer, you're a network, you're a football fan, this is the Super Bowl you want.
I mean, you easily have, lots of personalities. If you're the NFL, you got the Kelseys and Taylor Swift. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Andy. People know Andy Reid at this point because of the commercials. Yeah. Then you got, your Brock Purdy and Pacheco, like the late draft guys that are contributing. You've got everything you could possibly want. Kittle's a personality, right?
Yeah. Joey Bosa.
You got
all kind of guys.
Yeah.
You got stars. You got glamour franchises.
Taylor Swift
This would be the 49ers' 6th Super Bowl.
Right.
If they win. This would be the Chiefs' what? 4th?
4th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's glamour. You got power. You got well recognized because they've been on television a lot. So you got well recognized franchises with followings. You got a Las Vegas Super Bowl. Come on, you couldn't do better than this.
And then
the Lions would have been a good story.
Yeah.
Just because they've never been there, and it would have been a good story, but that would have been the story.
And then you got, and you can also talk about Mahomes historically. 5 years ago, at the end of Brady's career, or I guess, even the end of his Patriot career, you would think nobody is going to be able to touch Tom Brady, right? And if Mahomes wins his third quarter Super Bowl before the age of 28 and has been to 4, putting up the historic numbers that he's put up, that puts him in that,
He's in rarefied air. There's no question.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not Montana. And I wasn't around for the Bradshaw era for the most part, but I always find it odd that he won 4 Super Bowls. And he never, ever gets mentioned. I know the Steel Curtain, great defense, but it feels a little insulting, at least.
Now, the last 2 Super Bowls they won on offense.
Yeah. Well, the Steelers have...
Because he was throwing the ball over the lot.
I mean, the Steelers franchise has been to 8 Super Bowls. They've won 6. And neither of their quarterbacks ever get mentioned in any of these discussions when they talk about,
No.
It's always like, well, Rodgers and it's Breeze. And I'm like, whoa. But we'll get off that for a second and get back to...
Yeah.
But I mean, if Mahomes wins, they'll be the first team to go back-to-back since the Patriots did in 03-04. You cement yourself as a mini dynasty or a full dynasty. I don't know what you would call it. I assume if you go to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years and win 3 of them, that's about as dynasty as you can get.
I'm going to take the Chiefs 24-21.
Okay. As we talked offline, I am rooting for the Chiefs personally. But, despite having family in San Francisco that are 49er fans. But I think the 49ers are going to win. And I think they're going to win by 9 or 10.
I'm evoking my Tom Brady rule for Mahomes.
It's
I'm
perfect.
not betting against Mahomes.
No, yeah. But I just feel like a healthy 49er team, it's going to be tough to overcome.
No, I agree.
Because I don't see...
A lot of points scored.
Yeah. I mean, I would love a shootout. It just seems that this could be tough for the Chiefs to do.
Yeah, shootout would be outstanding. I would like a shootout as well.
But like I said, it's hard to imagine the Chiefs putting up more than about 20, 25 points, which makes your 24 seem like a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Should we talk about how Bill Belichick is not going to have a job coaching?
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, but let's talk about why anybody would think he would be a good commentator.
I will say this. Did you watch any of the NFL's top 50 or top 100? When he was talking about Ed Reed and he was talking about Palomalu and some of the other greats, he was really entertaining.
Okay.
In a way that you've never seen him in a press conference. Obviously he's insanely knowledgeable. But
insanely knowledgeable.
When you heard him breaking down the Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu plays, that was a guy that sounded like an excited Tony Romo. It sounded like somebody you didn't expect. It seemed like he was possessed by a demon, a very happy, excited demon that entered Bill Belichick's body. But he can't be any worse than, Phil Simms or Drew Brees or Gronk. So...
No, I don't think you're going to invest in a coach at that age.
No, especially
a coach and somebody that wants to control everything. It's not going to happen.
No. If anything,
if Brady wouldn't have, if he wouldn't have sunk, he and Brady went in 2 different directions when Brady left.
Yeah.
And so Brady got probably the credit he was due, and maybe Belichick lost some of the over credit he was getting.
Well, you also, he has not proven to be a very good general manager. Right?
No.
As far as picking players go.
Not at all.
And as crazy as it is for a team that went to 8 Super Bowls and won 5 Super Bowls, right? They went to 8 and won 5, or... I know Brady...
6, I think.
Yeah, however many, whatever they went to. But, they had years like this year where they left Tom Brady a bare cupboard to work with in Brady's prime when he was the general manager, too. And it's just there's nothing that makes you think you want him in charge of your organization. And
No.
as insane as it is that we're going to have two people older than him once again running for president, there's something to be said about, maybe a 71-year-old isn't the guy you want to start building your franchise around. Coach, right?
No, and I mean, the whole thing here with, Vince Lombardi left the Packers and then, went on to coach the Redskins. But, he didn't have the success at the Redskins he did at the Packers.
No.
And, and part of it was his age. I mean, Belichick Saban knew.
Yeah. He did.
So,
and
we'll see.
And Saban did you hear Saban's comments about offense?
No.
He basically said you can't win with defense. And this is Nick Saban, probably the greatest college football coach of all time, was basically like, he thought it was his time, but he was also, he said a few comments about like the way the game is officiated, the way the game is being twisted and turned. He's like, you just can't win with a good defense. He's like, you have to have offense and offensive firepower to win football. And that's obviously...
I agree with that.
And that's never been Belichick's strength either, if you're thinking about him as a coach, right?
No, Baltimore had a great defense yesterday, but they didn't have enough offense.
No. And then the other surprise, I suppose, is that Mike Vrabel, who is a fairly young coach, I think a successful coach, has gotten pretty much, no interest.
Unless he ends up in Seattle.
Yeah. I liked Vrabel as a coach.
I did too.
I know he's a little bit of an old school guy and he's not known as an offensive guy, but it seems like he runs a tight ship, and there's a couple teams that feels like they could maybe use that. You put him with a young, you hire him under the guise of like, we're going to turn your offense over to one of these young whiz kids or whatever you want to call them. It's just kind of shocking. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Go NBA?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we haven't really talked about, now that we've had Luka's 73, Embiid's 70, Karl Towns is 60-something, Booker's 60-something. Why? Do you think, why are we getting all these giant scoring numbers? Like, is that just where the league is at?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. My game of the week, though, was the Lakers and the Warriors.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was incredible.
That
was like two heavyweight fighters going toe-to-toe. It was good. It was an enjoyable game to watch.
Well, I think if you ask LeBron if he has a rival, I think whether he would admit it or not, I think it's Steph, right? On some level of guys during his era.
I think at some level you'd have to say that, yeah.
Because, that's the guy that, obviously Jordan, who he never really played against for the most part, that's his, his all-time, like, I have to beat this guy, be ranked higher than him in the end. But I feel like, we've seen debates where people say LeBron and Steph has been better, LeBron has been, careers and all that kind of stuff, and they definitely talk some trash back and forth to each other. So I feel like that is, maybe the rivalry. And they thought, the only reason LeBron got that other chip is because Draymond punched somebody in the balls, and it wasn't because LeBron was that good. There's been all that sentiment, so seeing those two teams go head-to-head all the time is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Timberwolves look like they're fading a little bit.
Well, going back to the 62 points that Karl Anthony Towns put up, I've never seen a team less excited for one of their players. They lost that game, but the coach did not enjoy that. And if you look at the other players on his team, they did not seem to be like, when Embiid was going for 70, when Luka was going for 73, like, there was genuine excitement. Their teams wanted them to do that. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is the first time I watched a game, where people were just like, I hate this guy. I don't want him to do like his own teammates. And they lost. So, yeah. They're still in first place, but Oklahoma City is now tied with them for first. The Clippers
are
third.
Moving on up.
Yeah. But the Nuggets are right. The Clippers are 30-14. The Nuggets are 32-15. So.
Yeah, there's some really good. There's a real haves and have-nots.
It is.
Portland is hideous.
Well,
Detroit is hideous. San Antonio's hideous.
But even you look at the West, like, those four teams we talked about all have over 30 wins. And then the next teams are Sacramento at 26, the Suns, the Pelicans, the Mavs, the Lakers only have 24 wins. Then the Jazz have somehow come back to life, and the slowly Golden State Warriors are sitting at 19 wins. I mean, that's feels like very top heavy. And then the Celtics look real good in the East.
They do. They look really good. And the Bucks are going to be interesting now with Doc Rivers. We'll see how that goes over.
Yeah. How do you feel about, like, I think part of it is my Steeler mindset right now with our quarterback, me just saying, like, that's a sunk cost, just walk away like the Niners did with Trey Lance, move on. But if Adrian Griffin is upsetting all the players, you've got Giannis in his prime, you got Dame, and the players all hate him, like, is there a reason to keep him? Just because like...
No, I mean, no, because despite, you have to rule out the record because you're not, if you're the Bucks, you're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, you got Giannis.
You're hiring a coach for the playoffs.
Right.
And if you got to keep this team together and have them in a good frame of mind when you get to the playoffs, then obviously that was the move.
I mean, that really loved assistant coach walked away from Adrian Griffin early on in the process, right? And we've heard, we saw Giannis refusing to listen to his coach, not going in the game. And it's weird because, like, I've heard the term, Budenholzer and then now Griffin, they're like, he's a coach killer. And it's like, he's a very competitive guy who's won MVPs, has won a chip, won the title. And if you know the guy isn't the guy, what's the point of having, you're better silently sticking there and under his leadership? It doesn't make any sense, right?
No. You got to have somebody they're going to respect.
And that team...
They're going to respect Doc Rivers.
Yeah, hopefully.
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will.
Well, I mean, people have been...
I thought it's a good, he still hasn't won anything.
Yeah. But, and I do feel like Doc got done kind of dirty in Philadelphia. For whatever his failures were as a Clipper coach or a Celtics coach here and there. But, like, in Philly, you started him with Ben Simmons on your team. Then you brought in upset, angry Harden, who only played good for like half a year, who looks like a completely different person in Los Angeles. So, great. But, I mean...
So, wait, did Doc Rivers ever win a championship?
I thought he won with the Mbutu Celtics, didn't he? Wasn't he the coach? With Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. Was he not the coach?
I'm trying to think if he was or not.
I thought he was.
I want to make sure he gets his due.
Yeah. Sorry. People probably hear my typing. I think he won. I think he was the coach of the Celtics team that won that title with Kendrick Perkins and Big Baby.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right.
And I know people like to take that away because they're like, well, you had all these veterans and leaders, but it's like he was a title, and it's again he's lost a lot of important Game 7s, but he's also been in a lot of important Game 7s.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
no, I thought it's a good hire for that team. Because it's Giannis' team, and if Giannis says this is a guy I'll listen to, then you hire the guy.
Exactly. Now, on a personal note, I showed up Doc Rivers at a basketball camp when I was 12. So.
There you go.
Yeah, he told me to take he told me we did the little free throw drill where you have to hit 4 in a row. You go elbow to elbow. Mm-hmm. I stepped back behind the 3-point line and nailed 4 in a row. So, just, that's my Doc Rivers story. But he seemed like a very nice fellow.
Yeah, you need to have some video of that, babe.
Yeah, I know. That was before videos, I think. I'm old.
Yep.
It seems like it's going to be a fairly quiet trade deadline because I don't really know who's, DeJounte Murray seems to be the really big name that's out there. And the teams that need him, I don't think, the Bucks need a player. The Bucks can't add anybody. I don't know how excited people really are for the Lakers 2029 pick. I think the most interesting team, obviously the Knicks have a little bit to go in on, but I don't know who they would go in on. And then the Cavs, who without Garner and without Mobley are somehow playing the best basketball of the season with just Mitchell and Allen. So, do they move one of those big pieces?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a possibility.
Because, whether it's...
And we say it every week, Oklahoma City could do something if they want to because they've got all kind of assets.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, because Jalen Williams looks phenomenal. Chet looks awesome. Shea is obviously incredible. I think the big thing is like, it's easy to say people should go do X, but I don't know who's actually available, right? And then who's available that
You
you
never
would.
know. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, if there's somebody you see around the league on a losing team you want, certainly make the call. But it doesn't seem like there's, I mean, Dame was already traded this year.
Yeah, you used to say anybody's available, but with a salary cap, that's not true.
True. And then, a team like Philly, you got to wonder, like, are they going to make a move? I don't know. It'll be interesting, but.
And Miami needs moves.
Well, Miami, yeah, they just got. Why can't I just completely forgot his name? They got the guy from Charlotte, although they're 0-2 with him and they look pretty terrible. But he looks okay. Maybe they should be. Miami just looks like they just want to get in the playoffs and then they'll start playing, and Butler will start playing again. So. Yeah.
Interesting times.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Shout out to the Italian that won the Aussie Open. First Italian to win a major.
Oh, and this is an update. I guess Charles Aminolu, who's the Chiefs pass rusher, he did tear his ACL. So he will not be playing in the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he had 7 sacks this season, and he was pretty good. So, and he was the one that strip sacked Lamar Jackson in the big game. So that's our first sort of, I guess, big news, right?
Yeah, that's big. Because we thought everybody came out healthy, but obviously we were wrong.
Yeah. Let's have our Steeler minute, Dad. We've had a lot of talk from both Snoop Dogg and Art Rooney II this week. Snoop Dogg says they need to get offensive innovation and they need to get some dogs on their team. And Art Rooney II said, we've had enough of playoff win drought.
Yep.
So.
And you and I are both off the Pickett bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
Not that we were really ever really on it.
I jumped on it pretty hard during the preseason. I got pulled in. We did a whole podcast about it almost.
Yeah, but we've learned that you got to let the preseason go.
Yeah, and that was part of that was as a fan of the team, you just gotta if you see some positive signs, you wanna yeah. But clearly, and I know people are making up all sorts of excuses for Pickett, but I don't think there are any. Mason looked like the better quarterback, and again, I'm not sure if he's the long-term answer, but he's certainly the short-term answer.
Yeah, I don't think Pickett's got the arm strength. I don't think he's got the tenacity to stay in the pocket and do the reads and deliver the ball on time. I just think that he's Rick Meyer. I think he's a backup quarterback at best.
Yeah, and I don't remember if we talked about this at all, but it wasn't just Johnson and Pickens. Like, people rode so hard for Mason Rudolph once he came in as teammates that doesn't say. I mean, it doesn't mean that Pickett's not a good dude and they wouldn't want to have beers with a guy or play some Madden, but that team played different when Mason was under center because it felt like they believed in Mason. And then, like I said, usually don't ride that hard for the backup. You express confidence in the backup, but you don't roll it out to the extent that the Steeler players did. Is that what I would say?
Right. No, I thought Mason got short-sheeted the whole time he's been around. I thought, you don't draft a guy number 3, the leading passer in Oklahoma State history, and all of a sudden he's not good enough to be your second string quarterback. I don't understand it. And Roethlisberger was a dick about all of it.
Yeah.
And I'll always hold that against Roethlisberger, Hall of Fame quarterback or not. You do what's best for your organization.
Yeah.
Not what's best for you. And Roethlisberger the last 3 years did what was best for him.
Oh, without a doubt. And again, the Steelers needed a little bit of that Belichickian, business-like mindset and less of a, I don't want to make our legend mad because we don't want to keep playing him even though he's washed.
Yeah.
Also, I guess as we're getting ready to do our food and entertainment, special shout out to Peter Schrager of NFL Network. He has picked the Super Bowl champion 4 consecutive years, at the start of the season. And his prediction this year was 49ers and Chiefs. And he picked the Chiefs to repeat. I mean, 5 consecutive years in the preseason to pick the Super Bowl winner. And this year he picked the exact participants.
That's impressive because both teams had a lull. And they fell out of favor with a lot of people.
Yeah. But to pick the Chiefs, Bucks, Rams, Chiefs, and then Chiefs again and get that right, 5, I mean, that's incredible. Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's worth... Like I said, I had to shout that out because I was like...
Absolutely.
Because it's really crazy, but, good for him. So I guess on to entertainment. Any entertainment?
Entertainment. Again, just been continuing on with Night Country. Finished up Slow Horses.
Right.
Started Monsieur Spade.
I've heard about that.
It was very good. Very good. It's Sam Spade like 10 years later, and he's in France. And Clive Owen, I think, is the actor.
Clive Owen, yeah, he's a very good actor. Yeah, he's very solid, yeah.
And so it's a good story. We watched the first one. And it's an AMC Plus, which I don't have. We watched it on, I think we watched it on Prime. I think we watched it on Prime. And then we get the first episode for free. And I think if I wait long enough, I'll get the second. The second and third are coming out, but they're $2.99 episodes. And if I need to buy them, I will, because it's a really, really intriguing story. And you would have loved the way the first episode ended. You should check it out. I think it has Jason characteristics in it.
Okay. I watched the movie last night. We watched Self-Reliance, which is a comedy with Jake Johansson. He's the writer, director. He's from New Girl and some other things.
Mm-hmm.
And the premise is, early on, Andy Samberg, who actually is played by Andy Samberg in the movie, pulls up, and he gets offered to participate in a game where he has to stay alive for 30 days, Jake Johansson. And people trying to murder him. But if he's with somebody, he can't be murdered. So if he's within like 3 feet of somebody, they can't murder him.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's a very silly movie, but it does a really good job of sort of... I don't want to give anything away, but it's definitely worth watching. And it's a very fun movie. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes, too. It's on Hulu.
Yeah. Hey, what did those 3 Saturday Night Live writers do those skits? What are they called?
Please Do Not Destroy.
Yeah. They had a really interesting take with Dakota Johnson on Saturday night. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good. It was very good.
They were just insulting each other, and it was really, really good. She held her own. It was pretty funny.
And I did appreciate because they're famous kids, and she's a famous kid, and they did call out Nepo Power.
Yep.
Which I like I said, I'm not saying that that's the only reason people, but it's like, it's more than a help to get you there. So it's nice when people, aren't defensive about it when they actually make fun of it,
Yeah, I thought the show was pretty good. I didn't think any of the skits were good that night. I thought that skit was good. I thought Weekend Update was really good, like it's been.
Weekend Update is always good, yeah.
And then I thought the beginning with the football spoof was pretty good too.
Yeah, I was happy to see it not be another. I don't really want all the political stuff sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes it's too much. It's like, Yeah.
No, we're going to get more with Jon Stewart back too.
Yeah, which like I said, I know, and the guy that's on there, I'm sure he's very excited. Oh, well, I'll ask you off the air because I don't think that really pertains to anybody else. I don't think I had any food. Oh, I did have food moments.
Okay, what are your food moments?
So I went to Z's Pizza this weekend, which is the good pizza we have down here. And next to it is a small batch, sort of bougie ice cream place called Lucy Boone. And it was really good. Maria and I both ended up getting a flight where you get 4 ice creams and basically it was like a pizzelle that came with it. I got cookies and cream, obviously, because it's cookies and cream. I got salted butter caramel, which was really intense but good. And then you got 4 scoops, and I just got 2 scoops of chocolate malted marshmallow brownie.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And it was. And again, like I said, it's a little tiny, They just depends on what they make each time. They just make small batches of ice cream, but that was outstanding. And for 4 scoops of ice cream, it was $10.
Hey, I'd always pay that.
Yeah. And again, you could. It was really like thick, creamy ice cream. Like it was, So.
Okay.
And again, the combination of getting pizza from Z's, which is the best pizza in New Orleans, and then popping in next door and getting some ice cream is a pretty good deal. So.
I would say so. Yeah, that's a good food. That's a good food moment.
Yeah, that's a very good food moment. Yeah, and that's all my food and entertainment this week. That's all I've had time for. But
Yeah.
That's pretty good ones.
I didn't really have anything this week, so I'm good.
Oh, and then the last thing I would say is Zach Robinson, who you wanted the Steelers OC to be. He is the OC of the Falcons, officially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would he take that job? Like, he lives in Georgia.
I think he lives in Georgia, and if they get a quarterback, you have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan, and that other running back, and a decent offensive line. That's...
Yeah. You got to get a quarterback somewhere because they don't have one.
Well, I think the big thing is going to be, do people think Justin Fields is really good? What is he going to cost, and where is he going to go? Because you put Justin Fields running along with Bijan and Pitts and those guys, like that's a pretty scary offense. Because Justin Fields started looking pretty good at the end of this year. And so far the price looks like it's going to be like a second and a 4, which, isn't, he's going into, this is his last year and you have to pick up his 5th-year option, which I think is like $30 million, and then you got to pay him. So it's not like it's going to be cheap. But if you think the Bears mishandled a really good number 2 overall pick, who does have, unlike Pickett, has insane arm strength and athletic ability, like, may not be the worst thing, right?
Well, who's the new head coach in Atlanta?
Who's the new head coach in Atlanta? I just reacted to the Zach Taylor part, so that's the part that affected us. They actually mentioned the Steelers in the first paragraph. Yeah, so the Steelers fans are the ones that are upset. I don't know who it is. Yeah, it doesn't even mention the actual coach. It mentions the Steelers and Steeler fans being upset that Zach Robinson is the offensive coordinator of the Falcons. So that's our continued Steeler moment after our Steeler moment.
Yeah, because it was a quick hire because it was the hire that they thought was going to be Belichick.
Oh, it's Raheem Morris.
That's right.
Yeah. It was Raheem Morris.
We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Oh, and in case people haven't heard about it, if you're a true crime person, my last, sort of bad entertainment moment is I want to know what happened to those 3 people that died in the guy's backyard that were Chiefs fans. It's been a fascinating story, and if you don't know, just look up dead Chiefs fans. Basically, in a generic-y looking suburb, it looks like a regular suburb, 4 guys watched the game together. 1 guy fell asleep for 2 days, and the other 3 guys woke up dead in his backyard. And he claims he knows nothing about it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. That sounds like a funky story.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And the guys are all like, 2 of them are like, look like, offensive linemen that would play for the Chiefs. They're bearded guys in their 30s and 40s. So it doesn't, when I first heard the story, I thought it was going to be like, some sort of like rundown part of the city, and these 3 guys look like crackheads, but they look like they could be, like hanging out with Jason Kelce. So it's sort of a weird one.
Yep. Interesting.
Yeah. But I think that's it. We might come back a little early next week because I don't think we're going to have Pro Bowl to talk about, probably.
No. And those of you can watch the quote-unquote Pro Bowl, which is now the equivalent of the ABC Superstars competition with Jason. I said it should be all along.
Yeah.
So it'll be entertaining. I mean, it'll be much better than the Pro Bowl. So.
Yeah. As long as they, like I said, I feel like this will never happen because of the network it's on. But you need to have the kind of producers that produce Inside the NBA with Chuck and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie. Those are the kind of people that should be producing that show and not the overproduced mess that this is probably going to be. But, if you enjoy it, good for you.
Oh, I'll be reporting on my visit to San Antonio and watching Wemby play Friday night.
All right. So until next week.
Peace out.